everybody, and welcome to another edition of Poland Daily Travel. In the studio with me, resplendent as usual, making me look bad and looking more and more like a cross between Cary Grant and James Bond, is the inimitable Nicholas, no relation, Richardson.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for such a splendid introduction.
Thank you for being here and looking the way you do.
Pleasure.
And being who you are.
Pleasure to be invited.
You're always invited around here, you know that.
I know.
And recently I did some history with you.
Yes, you appeared on my show.
Great
I know, that's
Scott.
great. It was good.
It's very incestuous, isn't it?
It is.
But, you know, good company is good company.
Good company is good company. Good chat
And
is good chat.
speaking of good company, who do you think is joining us?
Harold.
Harold von Kursk from Estonia. Harold, are you there?
From Tallinn.
Wow.
Tervist.
How are you?
I'm mighty fine, Preacher Will.
Good to hear you. The Reverend, please. Or you may call me Dr. Richardson. Either
By the way, I
one will
must
do.
say your colleague, he better resembles a character in a John le Carré spy drama as one of the most sartorially splendid members of the circus. One
Yes.
only has to hope for an appearance by George Smiley on today's program.
Yes, and hopefully smiling.
Yes. Although George Smiley didn't smile
He
very
never
much.
smiled.
No.
Alec Guinness played him, didn't he?
Now
Now I feel like Larry King. Alec Guinness
He did,
told me
and he
one
played
time.
him very well. And
I once saw Alec Guinness walking his dog in a
what
wood.
was surprising, that was one of Alec Guinness's very few television drama appearances, because he was obviously a film actor and really didn't do television. And that was, he was finally persuaded to do that, and he was absolutely brilliant. Probably one of the best drama series ever made, I think, by the BBC.
What's the name of it?
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yes.
There you
And
have
by
it.
the way, Nick, I'm sure
There
you
you
would
have
agree that the film adaptation was as bad as the original TV six-part miniseries adaptation was brilliant.
Harold, we don't
yes.
have time for you to put on your resplendent and excellent critical hat.
But I do agree,
We
Harold.
can do that. We can do that on my talk show. But here we need to talk a bit about travel. And, well, I just ask you, here's your question. What was the travel involved in Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy for $100?
Well, there was all sorts of travel. There were scenes shot in, well, what was in the book would have been Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia
At the time,
and
yes.
London, of course.
And London, of course,
In
yes.
the headquarters.
And then some
and
various
thereabouts.
trips into the home counties.
And home counties.
And some early scenes in, I think they were in Portugal.
What is a home county?
Those are the counties immediately bordering London,
That's right.
where
There
people
you go.
commute.
Just testing you.
Thank
Still
you.
got the knowledge.
Still
Good.
got the knowledge.
Smiley went to visit
What?
former, in effect, librarian record keeper.
Yes, in Oxford.
Oxford.
There we go. All right, but moving on. Today's question is, traveler or tourist, yes or no? that sound like Larry?
Yeah.
What's the difference between being a traveler and a tourist? This is a question that many people have asked me over the years of my travel, writing about travel for lots of magazines, living in different places. People have asked me, hey, traveler, what's the
I'd
difference
say a
between
traveler
the two?
would be a tourist who refrains from wearing shorts, sneakers, and resembling an American tourist.
Mm-hmm.
I think a true traveler is someone who appreciates a city not simply to visit every single designated tourist destination, but tries to take in the flavor of a city via the cafes, the bars, the bookshops, and avoids at all costs anything so much as resembling an old town or a historic port. When I travel, and I've lived in 7 different European capitals, the first thing I do is I try to get a feel for the city. And if I ever visit a museum, it's only because some horrible ex-girlfriend or some obsessive friend insists on going to one of the local museums.
Question, how horrible are those ex-girlfriends? Don't answer that. Question, what famous city, what European cities have you lived in? You said 7 capitals?
Yes?
Could you
Rome,
please give us a
Paris,
rundown, quickly? Those capitals.
Berlin,
And?
Tallinn,
Rome, Paris, Tallinn. I know those.
Stockholm,
Stockholm?
and I think I'm leaving one out.
London?
Oh, Brussels. I've lived in Brussels.
Brussels. There you
Yes.
go. And that is why you're on the show, because you are a man who's traveled and you're not a tourist. You absorb the culture wherever you go, don't you? Harold.
I try to do so. For example, when I was living in Rome, I only went to one museum simply because there was an event being held there. But I've seen enough museums in my lifetime that, the pleasure is somewhat diminished. I mean, I would go see the Louisiana Museum just outside of Copenhagen. I would go there because they have a
Why is it called
fantastic modern
Louisiana
art
if
collection.
it's not in
It's called
Louisiana?
Louisiana Museum.
Why is it called Louisiana if it's not in
I
Louisiana?
Don't know.
Probably
I forget.
named, after,
Question.
probably named after some royal family member who had the name Louise, but that's just a guess.
Oh, a Louise.
Probably a
Piano.
Louise, yes.
And that's why we have you on the show.
Thank you.
For those kind of irrelevant
but I think
beautiful comments.
I think the real difference between tourism and travel is I think travel really implies more time. The travel, the actual getting to the destination. I forget who it was that wrote, it is better to travel hopefully than to arrive. And I think that travel is all about the overall adventure, whereas tourism is about getting somewhere and ticking the boxes of things you've seen.
Ticking the boxes of things
You
you've
have
seen.
seen, whereas travelling is not about having any particular objective. I think it's just, as Harold said, letting the impression of the place sort of,
Wash
embrace
over
it,
you.
wash over you,
journey,
yes.
not the destination.
Exactly.
Or it starts with the journey, right? Everybody agree with that?
It starts with the journey. But if you're a traveller, the journey is part of it. If you're a tourist, the journey is just a necessary evil to get you from A to B. Because your
Very
objective is to be at B, and you've only got a fortnight.
Okay, folks, we've got to go now. Thank you very much, Harold. Thank you very much, Nicholas.
My pleasure.
Excellent stuff. We'll come back on the next show with my top 10 list of you might be a tourist if. Stay tuned and hang in there.